In 2019, Disney and the NBA partnered to create a place like no other. The NBA experience gave fans a chance to see what it was like being a professional basketball player, but it closed a few months later. So what went wrong? Let's explore what happened to the NBA experience.
Introduced a very special friend who's celebrating his 90th anniversary. Magic fans, please welcome Mickey Mouse.
On March 25th, the Big Cheese himself, Mickey Mouse, made a surprise appearance at the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida, for the announcement of the opening date for the NBA experience that would open August 12, 2019. The one-of-a-kind experience would be located in Disney Springs, replacing Disney Quest, which had closed on July 2, 2017. Disney Quest was a 5-story interactive theme park that gave its guests a chance to experience the Disney parks without having to actually be at the parks. In fact, Disney Quest deserves its own video, but we'll get to that another day. The NBA experience was the latest collaboration between Disney World and the NBA. In fact, the day before the grand opening, the second annual Junior NBA Global Championship had just concluded at ESPN's Wild World of Sports complex at Walt Disney World, which featured the top 13 and 14-year-old youth boys and girls basketball teams from around the world. This, along with Disney's longstanding relationship with the Orlando Magic, expanded Disney's partnership with the NBA. The NBA experience was planned to be an immersive world packed with 13 interactive elements and hands-on activities that were spread out across its 44,000 square foot 2-story building. It was supposed to give its guests the chance to feel like a real basketball superstar. In addition to this, there was going to be a retail shop where guests could purchase basketball-themed items and a restaurant themed around sports. It was hoped that this new attraction would bring in more guests to the revamped Disney Springs area. On August 12, 2019, the NBA experience opened to much fanfare. Mickey and Minnie, decked out in their best basketball uniforms, performed a hip-hop dance number complete with basketball background dancers before being joined on stage by a few of the biggest names in the NBA and in the WNBA. This included Grant Hill, Mike Conley, Aaron Gordon, Victor Oladipo, Swin Cash, Udonis Haslem, Brooke Lopez, Dwayne Wade, and even Hall of Famer Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver and then Disney CEO Bob Iger. Side note, Bob, come back. We miss you. We miss you so much. Please come back. Okay, sorry. They were also there for the ceremony. Bob Iger was quoted as saying, "The NBA experience lets everyone who loves the game live it. We're excited to open the doors to a fun and unique experience for fans of all ages." Adam Silver also gave his praises by saying, quote, "I want to thank Bob Iger and the Walt Disney Imagineering team for capturing the authentic NBA experience at this landmark destination at Disney Springs. Disney creates memorable experiences better than anyone, and we are thrilled to share the excitement of NBA basketball with fans and Walt Disney World guests from around the world." Outside of the NBA experience was CityWorks Eatery and Poorhouse, a restaurant with 17 extra-large HD TVs with state-of-the-art audio to showcase live game and sports. The retail store called the NBA Store featured a wide variety of licensed apparel, hats, and accessories with your favorite basketball team. There were also Disney exclusives that featured Mickey, Minnie, Donald, and Goofy in their best basketball attire. This collection included t-shirts, themed Mickey ears, and hats, and even an iconic Loungefly bag that mimicked the feel and texture of a basketball. Mickey could also be found representing the various NBA teams on water bottles, patches, trading pins, and more. You can find your favorite teams on different shirts, polos, hats, backpacks, and even a collection from New Era that featured Mickey, Donald, and Goofy in a collector's box. There was even a special collab that was called Fanatics at the NBA Store that had collector's memorabilia such as signed jerseys, basketballs, framed photos, even sneakers, including one of Shaquille O'Neal's size 23 shoes that was autographed by Shaq himself. You know, if you just had $900 burning a hole in your pocket. Guests were also able to personalize items such as water bottles, magic bands, magnets, ornaments, and smartphone cases at the personalization station. Guests were able to purchase tickets in advance or on site and started out at only $34 for adults and $29 for kids. The tickets included access to every activity, which guests could return to multiple times. When guests arrived after signing a waiver, they would tap their ticket or magic band on the basketball touchpoint before entering the main court area. Here you would have the opportunity to create your player profile where you would pick your name and NBA or WNBA team from a list of options. Upon entering, guests would feel like they were walking through the players' tunnel at an NBA or WNBA arena. The NBA experience consisted of 2 levels. The first floor consisted of the film area where you could watch 2 short films about basketball, the champions area where you could take a photo using special photo machines that took different photos, one of you pretending to hoist the Larry O'Brien championship trophy, and the other with the MVP award trophy. In this area, you could also look up every NBA championship winner from any year and see the statistics and highlights. In the players area, you will walk through a museum-like display that was set up to make you feel like you were actually in an NBA locker room. Each locker had memorabilia, jerseys, shoes, and other things you may find in the NBA players' locker room. In between each locker, there were touchscreens that let you view current NBA team rosters, statistics, and their league standings. The final area in the downstairs was the combine. Here was where guests could measure their wingspan, jump height, and even shoot a couple of basketballs into a hoop. The second floor was where the more active games were located. There was slingshot, where guests would shoot foam balls into hoops using a slingshot apparatus, competing against other players. This one was the most popular of all the activities. Next was the arcade area. In this area, you would find all your favorite basketball-themed arcade games. There was the Pop-A-Shot type game where you would shoot as many baskets as you could within a certain time limit, which had an adult and kiddie version, along with video games like NBA 2K, NBA Live, and NBA 2K Playgrounds. Next was the area called Dunk. In this area, guests could practice their dunking skills with an adjustable rim that you could adjust to your preferred height to get your slam on. Then there was the dribbler area. This area coached you through a series of skills to gauge your abilities to dribble the ball. The next area was the trivia area, where guests could test their knowledge of the NBA and WNBA. Using the touchscreens, guests were able to compete against each other to see who knew their NBA and WNBA knowledge the best. The draft section was where guests could live out their dreams of being the #1 draft pick. Here you were able to pose with a wax figure of NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, with a screen above showing your screen name, team, and of course declaring that you were the #1 draft pick. Next to the elevators was the replay area. This area allowed you to be the ref, where you could watch a series of videos with multiple camera angles to help you determine if the call on the court was right or if they needed to be overturned. Finally, there was the shoot area. In this area, guests would experience the 3-point contest like in the NBA All-Star Games. Here you had the chance to shoot and score a series of shots before the clock ran out while a crowd cheered you on the entire time. The NBA experience was a hit with some guests, especially those who were big basketball fans. The cost was much cheaper than your standard Disney theme park ticket, and it allowed you to have all-day access to the facilities. You could leave for lunch or take a break and come back later in the day if you wanted. It was also a perfect rainy day activity or a place to spend your non-park days since it was all indoors. Since Disney Quest had shut down and Cirque du Soleil was closed as they revamped for a new show, this gave guests something to do on its side of Disney Springs. It seemed as if it was a perfect addition to Disney Springs. So, what happened? In 2020, the COVID-19 virus began to run rampant across the world, affecting everyone. Hoping to slow the spread, many places began operating in much smaller capacities or were closed completely. On March 12th, Disney announced that Disneyland and California Adventure would close for only the 4th time since it had opened in 1955. Then, the Disney Company soon confirmed that it would also be closing Walt Disney World Resort in Florida and Disneyland Paris on March 16th. Since Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Tokyo Disney had already closed back in January and February, this marked the first time in history all 6 Disney theme parks resorts would be closed simultaneously. At first, it was only supposed to be the parks closing, but on March 17th, Disney-owned shops and restaurants in downtown Disney and Disney Springs also closed. In May of 2020, Disney began a phased reopening, starting with Disney Springs. Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom opened back up to guests on July 11th, 2020, and Epcot and Hollywood Studios opened to guests on July 15th. However, there was a new normal at Disney. Cast members and guests ages 2 and above were required to wear a mask and had to go through temperature screenings, where a cast member would take a guest's temp. If your temp was over, you would be able to sit in what they called cooling tents to see if it was just due to the Florida heat. After 15 minutes, you were able to go back and get your temperature checked again. If your temperature was still high, you would not be allowed to enter the parks, along with the guests that were with you, even if their temp was not above the threshold. Theme park reservations were also introduced where guests had to make a prior reservation to enter a park for the day. There was no park hopping yet, and no face-to-face character interactions where you could hug the characters or get autographs. There were, however, plenty of hand-washing stations and sanitizer locations sprinkled throughout the parks, and cast members were constantly disinfecting rides and surfaces throughout the parks. There were also physical barriers put in place, along with place markers to ensure social distancing. Disney Springs reopening also had enhanced safety measures in place. There was the mask requirement and temperature screening, along with the same type of physical barriers and place markers put in place to ensure social distancing. There was also a limit in how many people could go into a certain shop or store at a certain time. And just like in parks, Disney asked guests to use cashless or contactless payments. In both the parks and Disney Springs, some things that would be hard to maintain social distancing within large crowds, such as fireworks shows, things in theaters like movies or indoor performances, and parades, were still unavailable to guests. Since the NBA experience was an indoor activity center that required several touch points that multiple people would constantly be touching and would be in close proximity to each other, it was natural that it didn't reopen when Disney started to open back up to guests again. But as Disney slowly began to open up more of its various experiences and stores and relax on some of its COVID protocols, there had still been no announcement on when the NBA experience would reopen. Many guests, including my family and I who had an upcoming trip, were looking forward to this and was wondering when it would reopen. Then on August 16th, 2021, Disney announced that it would not be reopening the Disney NBA experience. Disney said the closure was a mutual decision with the NBA and does not impact the company's relationship with the NBA or their business partnership with the Orlando Magic. Many people, like myself, were wondering what went wrong. After all, it had only been open for a few months before the COVID shutdown. They had even torn down Disney Quest, and a building was custom made for just this. Though it wasn't as popular as Disney hoped, it was clear that the cast members loved what they were doing, just like their fellow cast members at other places located throughout the Walt Disney World. In fact, former cast member Michael Engelbart posted this news on Facebook. He said, and quote, "This morning, myself and all of my fellow cast members at the NBA experience at Disney Springs at Walt Disney World received the call that we are all being separated from the company. We had all been furloughed since April. The last day the NBA experience was open was March 16th. The last day I worked at it was March 15th. We were open for less than a year, having officially originally opened on August 12, 2019. For most of us, our training started on June 17, 2019. The trainers and leaders that started slightly before that. This was the second time I worked at Disney, as I had worked at Epcot and Outdoor Foods back when I first moved to Florida during the spring and summer of 1999. I will miss the team I worked with at NBA tremendously. Such a great group of individuals who all brought unique perspectives and experiences, and yet all shared a love of the NBA and basketball. I will miss being able to call myself a Walt Disney World cast member, which itself represents such a recognizable and proud culture of providing the best customer service in the world. I don't know yet what awaits me next. I do have some perspectives, have had some interviews I'm waiting to hear back on, have some interviews scheduled in the future, and I've continued to fill out applications during my days, as I have done since around mid-June when I realized the prospects of us reopening were very slim in the new normal. Thank you to everyone at Disney Springs and the NBA experience. This isn't the end, but just a new beginning. Who knows? Maybe we'll be back at Disney someday. Disney still hasn't said much on why they closed the location. They had quickly removed all signage outside of the NBA Experience and the NBA store. Since CityWorks was a separate restaurant, it remained open. You can still find info regarding the NBA Experience on the Disney website, however, it still says the location is temporarily unavailable. It's speculated the reason for its closure is it wasn't performing in sales as well as they hoped. Many guests complained that it wasn't much to do, and unless you were a basketball fan, you might not be as interested. Also, it only took guests about an hour to go through the entire thing, so some felt that it wasn't enough activities for the price point for a large family. Personally, I felt that the price point was pretty affordable compared to a single day ticket to a Disney park, and you had all day to access the facilities. You could even leave and come back if you wanted to. So, what is Disney going to do with the space now? Well, Disney announced recently that the location will soon be home to a limited-time Star Wars virtual reality experience. This MetaQuest VR experience will feature ILM and LAB's Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, which previously held a preview at Downtown Disney District in California. Guests will be able to try Quest 2 headsets where it will allow guests to experience the expanded world of Batu. Once inside the Quest 2 headset, you'll be immersed within sweeping 360 views of the Star Wars galaxy. The adventure takes place on the outskirts of Black Spire Outpost on the planet of Batu, as depicted in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The complimentary experience will open on May 2nd, 2022, and remain through July 27th, operating from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Now, there is no news if this experience will extend past July 27th. If it does well, and it's very popular. But many fans have called for Disney to bring back Disney Quest in place of the NBA experience. And you know what? I wouldn't mind this. I had been to Disney Quest as a kid and it was amazing. I loved how you could create your own roller coaster and then ride it. They also had this Buzz Lightyear ride where you would roll over balls and shoot them at other people. But I do remember that breaking down quite a lot. There was also the virtual Pirates of the Caribbean ride. There was an activity center. There was a lot. Like I said, Disney Quest deserves its own video. But you know what? If they do go this route, I hope they do like an updated version of Disney Quest because it was a little outdated compared to now. And also, I am sad that I didn't get to go to the NBA experience. We had planned on going during our June 2021 trip, and my husband, who is a huge basketball fan, was really looking forward to it. So I was sad for him because I know he would have absolutely loved to experience this. But tell me what you guys think. Did Disney close the NBA experience too soon, or did they make the right decision? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. But again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!